none of us would have ever expected the kind of decoupling that we've seen over the last couple of years. It started in economic realm and it has increasingly moved into other realms, including education. How does that affect your conclusions in the book? I know the book is just coming out and you probably finished writing it about a year ago, but things have been moving so quickly. Are you as optimistic now as when you finished writing the book?
I would say the basic conclusions I wouldn't change at all. There are conclusions about the great risks to higher education in China from the political crackdown of recent years, which has simply continued and intensified, but the basic point is the same. And yet, at the same point, being in the long run, optimistic about Chinese universities, which after all have survived the Qing, Yuan Shikai, the warlords, the Japanese invasion, and even Mao Zedong. They will survive Xi Jinping. This I have no doubt about, and they shall perhaps come out stronger for it. We shall see. But, you know, the big question that I'm often asked in this regard is, when you think of Chinese universities and the aspiration for setting global standards, and Chinese universities today are every one of them is experimenting with programs of liberal education, of general education, to try to educate people who are critical thinkers. That is what the presidents of these universities seek. Can you have a great program in general education or liberal education in an illiberal polity? The German answer is a qualified yes. You certainly can. But the Germans of the 19th century were no match in their control mechanisms for the Chinese leadership today. And so it's a much more complex story than it was. What's interesting is that the German professoriate in the 19th century was much less diverse and much less itself internationalized than their Chinese counterparts are today. And so that's a chapter yet to be thought of and yet to be written. And we will have to take a wait and see attitude, because there's a difference between what you can say today in China, and very unhappily so, in a classroom, and what you believe or what you can say to a friend in private. And that's a very, you have this document number 9 from the year 2013, which says there are 7 things not to talk about in a university. And that's probably, when you think about it, that's a terrible thing, because in principle, a great university has to be a place where there isn't one thing you can't talk about. But the governor of Florida probably has at least 7 things that he would rather people not talk about at the University of Florida.